All right, we are back on the air because we have a tornado warning that has now been issued for the eastern parts of Boone County and extreme northern parts of Kenton County here. Now, first things I want to point out, you're not going to be able to see this tornado. It's going to be more than likely wrapped in rain. If you're in northern Kentucky and you're hearing the sirens go off right now, if you are over towards Independence, for example, anywhere in the northern half of Kenton County, you need to be getting to a safe place here as this storm is now showing Doppler radar detected tornado here with potential rotation moving into the northern parts of Kenton County. So if you're in eastern parts of Boone, you're probably hearing the sirens go off right now as well. If you're in Kenton County, you're hearing the sirens go off. This is going to be a fairly short-lived rotation, but nonetheless, it is right here in this notch. It would appear that the rotation would be just south of the city of Florence. So probably just south of Florence and just north of the 71-75 split in this area in Boone County, right here where you have this little dog leg notch on this storm. That's the reason why for the sirens going off right now in the extreme northern parts of Kenton County. In fact, if you look closely, right there, we do have a little bit of a circulation on that storm. And again, this is going to be heading towards the community of Brentwood. If you're in Brentwood or Independence, these two communities right now, you need to be getting to the lowest level of your home, preferably a basement. Remember, you can also get inside a bathroom or a closet. The idea is to put as many walls between you and the outside winds as you possibly can. Again, this is the reason for the sirens going off. For those of you in Independence over towards the Brentwood community, right here, this is a brief spin up. Could be a brief spin-up tornado. Nothing confirmed, but Doppler radar indicated at this point. So if you're in the city of Cincinnati, you're hearing the thunder and lightning. If you're near the Ohio River, you're okay. It's once you get down more towards once you get outside of the 275 loop in northern Kentucky, that's where you'll want to take shelter from this potentially tornadic storm here. Again, this is nothing confirmed at the moment, but it is Doppler radar indicated. I believe this right here would be Madison Pike, for example. So basically from Independence to Brentwood, you need to be getting to a safe place right now. Again, the potential circulation is about crossing, if it hasn't already, has crossed Dixie Highway now. So honestly, if you're in Florence and you're hearing the sirens, you're okay. The circulation is to your south. Thank you, Katie, for circling that. Right here where you see the words Dixie Highway, this is going to be moving off towards the east-northeast. So I would say for anyone from near the city of Devon over towards maybe Richardson Road, for example, right in there is where you're going to have your potential circulation. Again, this is not an actual confirmed tornado, but it is a Doppler radar indicated tornado at the moment, and it would appear as if probably we're thinking somewhere right in this general location. Let's actually bring this out just a little bit, Katie, so we can have a better, clearer picture on what's happening. And I think it's going to be somewhere in this area where we're looking for the potential rotation. This would be coming up very quickly here near the Brentwood Lane. If that sounds familiar to any of you there in Kenton County, south of Independence, you are now in line for what could be a tornadic circulation moving in your direction here over the next over the next several minutes to seconds. So again, you'll want to go ahead and act pretty quickly. Again, if you're south of Independence in Kenton County, the circulation coming up on Brentwood Lane, why don't I move to the other side? And this will also give you, for example, the White Tower community and Ryland Heights as well. So your circulation is here, just to the south and west of the city of Independence, just crossed over Dixie Highway. It's going to be coming awfully close to Brentwood Lane. If that sounds familiar to any of you, if you live anywhere near or close, I would say within several miles of Brentwood Lane, for example, south of Independence, between White Tower, you want to get into a safe place. And looking down the road, anywhere along 16, for example. If you live along 16 in Kenton County, to the southeast of Independence, near Independence or south and east, you too are in the path of this potentially tornadic circulation. We just got another update on the radar here, and this would take that circulation again pretty close to the city of Independence, Brentwood Lane, the Independence area, towards Ryland Heights, along 16. All of these areas are hearing the sirens go off because we have a Doppler radar detected potential tornado again with this storm. And again, I'm still seeing what would be the best circulation. Let's actually do one thing for me, Katie. Scroll back on the radar here. Let's see if we can see any tightening of the circulation. This may help give a little bit of a clearer picture on what's happening. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's put the scope back up again and then actually loop the radar with the scope going. And I think we'll probably find that the circulation started here near Dixie Highway and is probably near or very close to the city of Independence. It would be right there. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. This would be your circulation right in here, and it's cruising almost due east, it would appear. So if you live near the city of Independence or just south of Independence, that circulation is practically right on top of you and crossing 17 as we speak. So this is crossing Highway 17 just south of Independence and will be moving just north or very close to 536, probably staying north of the city of Kenton. But if you're anywhere to the west of Alexandria in Kenton County, anywhere near 536, this is 17, and I believe this is 16 here, south of Taylor Mill, right in there, there's the potential for a very small circulation with this storm right near Heartland Boulevard, for example. So right now, the circulation would appear to be right over Heartland Boulevard. So crossing 17 and coming up on 16, if you have any relatives, out there, I know it's a little late now. It's after the evening news. Storm's rolling in a little bit later here. You'll want to give them a call, just kind of give them a jingle and let them know, hey, there's a Doppler radar detected tornado. Again, nothing that's been confirmed yet, nothing we've heard of any confirmation of, but what the Doppler radar is seeing essentially, here's the radar site, right there near the bottom of your screen. And obviously here you have winds moving in a counterclockwise direction very close to Heartland Boulevard. And that's where we've seen just enough of a tightening on the radar for the National Weather Service to feel confident enough to pull the trigger for a tornado warning. Again, it's right in this area here. And again, if you put that in motion, it's almost on a due easterly fashion. And this would bring the circulation starting to approach 16. If you're in the city of White Tower, I'd play it safe here and get into a safe place in Kenton County as this circulation is going to come awfully close to you guys. It will probably stay just north of White Tower, but nonetheless, along 16, from Heartland Boulevard over towards Highway 16 in Kenton County, we do have a Doppler radar detected tornado. Now, just to reset the scene really quickly here for everyone else in the tri-state, there's plenty of thunder and lightning going on. This is the only severe weather warning that we currently have in effect right now. It's a very small tail end of the storm here with a little bit of a circulation on it. And for that reason, the tornado warning has been issued for Kenton County. The Weather Service has yet to extend it into Campbell County, and there is a reason for that tonight because conditions are far, far less than prime for tornadic activity. So I still believe that is the case, but occasionally you can get small spin-ups on some of these storms when they're right along a frontal boundary and we get this abrupt changing in wind direction here. And sometimes it can be just enough to set the things in, kind of set things in motion to get some small circulations to spin up. So if you're up here in Hamilton County, you're hearing thunder and lightning, there's heavy rain coming down. If it's dark out, yeah, that's all going on, but that's not severe. The tornado warning is just outside of the 275 loop. So if you're hearing the sirens go off in northern Kentucky, for example, and you're within the 275 loop, you're okay. The weather is nasty. That's not the threatening part of the storm. The most dangerous part of the storm here is crossing 16 or coming up on 16 at the moment, probably now east of Independence. So if you heard the sirens in Boone County, you're now in the clear. The tornado warning for the part of Boone County has now been allowed to expire, but it's generally going to be in this area here between Independence and Alexandria. If I lived in Ryland Heights, for example, or just south of Ryland Heights on 10, down towards the city of Kenton, anywhere north of Kenton towards Ryland Heights, right in here is where you might have a little bit of a circulation that could briefly spin up a brief tornado. So there's some times on there. I tell you what, Katie, let's take these times off, go back to the velocity, storm relative velocity, and see here how that circulation is doing. Still detecting some lightning out there with this storm. And again, what I'm seeing at the moment, the circulation doesn't look quite as tight as it did several minutes ago, and I'm not surprised because of the nature of the environment tonight. It's not particularly prime for tornadic activity around the area. And it did appear for a few minutes there that the circulation did tighten up just enough to probably give a little bit enough concern to pull the trigger on a tornado warning. But this won't be something that's going on all night. This isn't an all-night threat, but this is a temporary threat here for the folks in eastern Kenton County, and we'll see what they decide to do in Campbell County, okay? But I'm thinking with the nature of these storms tonight, it's not such that we're finding these long tracks of circulation with these storms. Again, the environment was much more favorable earlier tonight for severe weather than it is right now. So that being said, you do have that brief spin up there on this particular storm right in the heart of Kenton County at the moment. I tell you what, Katie, let's if you want to step this back on the radar just a little bit, we can see that circulation, how it passed very close to Independence and then heading now towards 16. Again, if you look briefly, how about you stop it right there for me? Right as it was just south of Independence, for a few minutes there, you had if you look closely, right in there, you actually had a nice enough tight couplet. When we say couplet, basically these reds and greens are side by side here, and that is indicative of winds basically moving in opposite directions. So just enough for the Weather Service to feel that they need to pull the trigger on a tornado warning, and that was right in Kenton County. So I tell you what, Katie, let's take that off. Let's see what's happening now currently with the warning. They are continuing the warning at this point. Is this the latest radar shot? I guess so, at 11:49. Let's move it up to 11. There we are. And let's see now how we're seeing in velocity, because what I'm seeing at the moment seems to be a lot more kind of, the image is pretty muddy here, so to speak, in terms of the tight, I'm not seeing a tight circulation on the radar that would be indicative of a tornadic circulation. So my suspicion is that this warning's probably going to be allowed to expire here in the next several minutes, as again, conditions aren't necessarily prime for that. But if you're in the eastern part of Kenton County, anywhere between Ryland Heights and kind of the Visalia area, you'll want to stay alert for changing weather conditions. So again, this is 16. The circulation passed over 17 from near Heartland Boulevard, just north of White Tower, and then coming up here just to the south of Ryland Heights here over the next couple of minutes. Katie, are you seeing anything by chance on the NWS chat in regards to any types of confirmation, any reports? I would be surprised if we see anything like that, just given the overall setup tonight around the tri-state. Yeah, no, we haven't seen anything come down. It's still radar indicated with that new issuing of the warning there, and it goes until 12. But as Kevin was saying earlier, you know, that rain is coming down in buckets. We've lost the sunlight, so you're not going to really have any opportunity to even see a tornado if there was one. But yeah, it's really broad rotation right now. We're not looking at any kind of tight circulation that would indicate that something would be on the ground, but it's still very important to treat this as it were on the ground. You should always treat a tornado warning as if you're seeing something at the surface. So that's going to be in place again for about another 10 minutes, but it's moving east at about 45 miles per hour. So main threats, again, we've got that broad rotation and of course that really heavy torrential rainfall and even some lightning with this storm. Let's see here. Storm producing. Just got a new update from the Weather Service. Just a minute. Okay, they're talking about the weakening rotation as we were seeing here. They're not anticipating a downstream warning into Campbell County at this time. So that's really good news there. Not looking like this is going to continue on past midnight. Yeah, that's good news. And again, that kind of speaks to the environment that we're dealing with. The atmosphere was much more conducive, I guess you could say, for severe weather earlier this evening, and much more than it is now around the area. Again, even today, just not enough instability to really sustain these storms, but occasionally you can get, you know, an abrupt wind shift with some of these storms when they're moving in a line, and sometimes you get just enough spin on them to briefly spin up a small tornado or a brief tornado, and that's probably, again, what concerned the Weather Service, and hence the reason why they decided to pull the trigger on that tornado warning for Kenton County. So I tell you what, let's remove the scope here, and again, at this point, not seeing anything that's going to, again, they, you know, right out of the words of their mouth, to necessitate an extension of the tornado warning into Campbell County. So if you're just joining us, for example, you got an alert on your phone, Here's what happened. Small storm started to spin a little bit in the eastern parts of Boone County, just south of Florence, near Dixie Highway. Tornado warning was issued for eastern Kenton County because of what appeared to be a small circulation on the storm. And now the decision is not to extend the warning into Campbell County because of the fact that we are no longer seeing that same circulation. It's still storming and it's still pretty nasty out here. There's still very heavy rain falling through much of northern Kentucky. And for that matter, that extends right across the Ohio River into Anderson Township, the Mount Washington area. Look up towards Newtown and Milford, Blue Ash, Wyoming, Norwood, all just torrential rainfall. And you might get a 35 to 40 mile an hour wind gust out of this. But by and large, again, the threat for severe weather awfully, awfully low, with the exception of occasionally getting a very brief spin to develop on the radar. Let's come out just a little bit, Katie, and we'll stay on until this warning expires here in the next couple of minutes. But again, not the most impressive line of storms, but one that very well still bears watching. I still think there's some broad circulation in this cluster of storms, so it's something that bears watching for the next hour or so. But overall, I don't see anything that really signals a huge tornado or severe weather threat with this little broken storm here, as it basically is going to move into Claremont County, Campbell County here in short order. Again, occasionally, because the winds are out of the south, the tail end of this, you get a nice change and you can get a brief spin up on the tail end of that. But at this point, it would appear to me that any type of inflow to this storm probably getting disrupted. It's a very messy signature on the radar with this storm, nothing terribly organized about it, and it's not particularly intense, but just right on that southern end, there was a brief circulation there for about, I'd say probably 5 or 6 minutes. It wasn't even that long. So that kind of speaks to the fact that we're not seeing an environment conducive for tornadic activity. But the sirens are probably still going south of Taylor Mill through Ryland Heights. At the moment, really, Ryland Heights, the community at greatest risk, but I can tell you even now, I'm no longer seeing anything that looks like a tornadic circulation with that storm. So that's what they're dealing with. I will say, as the storm continues to move east, if you're in Alexandria, for example, or if you're over in Claremont County, sometimes these storms like to move in cycles a little bit. So occasionally you'll see that circulation tighten up a little bit and then it kind of unwinds again. It very well could tighten up a little as it moves through Campbell County and into Claremont County. So while I'm not saying there's zero risk out there, it's low, we'll keep an eye on it. So there you have, that's what we got, a new update on the radar. If you want, Katie, we can try one more time here for a quick look on velocity, see if we're able to see anything with this storm. Again, last check, we weren't able to see any tightening of the circulation. In fact, it looked a lot less organized than it did several minutes ago. So we're continuing to keep a close eye on this storm. We'll stay with the storm, Katie. How long is this tornado warning in effect for?
It's in effect until midnight tonight. The National Weather Service is going to allow this warning to expire. What they did was issue a special weather statement for this storm. So it has been extended. The storm will extend into southern Campbell and southern Claremont counties here through 12:30, but that tornado warning no longer in effect. So what we're looking at here, that special weather statement, it's essentially a warning that goes out that lets us know there's a stronger storm. It's below severe limits, but it will have gusts around 45 miles per hour. You're going to have the torrential rainfall, and of course you're going to have that lightning. So as this storm's coming through your neighborhood, certainly want to move inside. You don't want to be outside when this is coming in. I can tell you, as these storms were coming over the station, the lightning was just crazy. So we're going to be looking at that here. But as Kevin was mentioning, as this line progresses eastward, we can't entirely rule out that we're not going to see more very quick rotation. Sometimes these storms like to go through cycles. They spin up, they spin down, they weaken, they strengthen, and then they eventually move on out. But that's what we're going to be looking at. You should always treat these tornado warnings very seriously, even though it is a very, small storm. It's a smaller rotation. These can still produce damage. I've covered these storms in the past, and they can take down tree branches. They can do damage if you do have a tornado that touches down briefly. So that's what we're looking at for this evening. But yeah, Kevin, this tornado warning is going to expire as we go towards midnight tonight.
All right, so that's about another 3 or 4 minutes there. We'll stay on with this storm here until the warning completely expires. And again, let's bring the image out just a little bit of a bigger picture on what's happening, because we've got a lot of noisy weather happening. In fact, all the way up from Wilmington, why don't we just start up here, I'll tell you what, in Clinton County, and you've got thunder and lightning all along 71, basically, right on back down through much of Warren County. Some thunder and lightning being heard at the moment, some heavy rain over near Morrow, Mainville, back towards Mason and Deerfield Township. In fact, you just got a new bolt popped up right there near the city of Lebanon. And then you've got torrential rain coming down from Blue Ash to Madeira over towards Newtown. Again, this is not severe. There's not very much wind in this. As it came through the station, I'd say winds maybe 25 miles per hour, if that. But you've got, look at these rainfall rates on the order of 1 to 2 inches per hour. Fortunately, these storms are progressive and moving, so you probably won't pick up an inch or two of rainfall, but you're going to get at least probably 3/4 of an inch in a fast, 20, 30 minutes, half an hour as this passes by. So certainly heavy rain, some dangerous lightning, but that seems to be it. In fact, you can see more lightning popping up with this storm. Let's go on down, Katie, as this moves into the western part of Claremont County now. You can see from Union to Withamsville over towards Melbourne. As you get out here towards western parts of Claremont County, you get towards Anderson Township in the extreme southeastern part of Hamilton County. Just heavy rainfall, nothing tornadic, not seeing anything tornadic. You just got an update on the radar. Here comes the very heavy rain towards Owensville, Batavia, back towards Amelia. This is all moving in your direction with some thunder and lightning. And again, come out just a little bit farther for me, Katie, here on the radar image. And we'll keep an eye, because the circulation, this is the same storm that was to the west of Louisville earlier that did briefly produce another tornado warning. Nothing confirmed, but another tornado warning. So this storm itself has had a history of occasionally seeing the rotation in it tighten up just enough that it necessitates a tornado warning trigger being pulled on it. So again, at the moment, only in the eastern part of Kenton County, that warning about to expire. In fact, the threat has now passed in Kenton County, to be honest with you, for any tornadic activity. If there was anything, the circulation